All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Once again, we are back in the house. This is the Good Man Show, and I am your host, Mr. Rick. And I told you guys we was going to have some exciting subjects. We are going to continue on with the conversation that we were having. And I want you to, if you're new to the channel, to hit the subscribe button and make sure that you hit that bell so you'll know when we're posting another video. So we're going to introduce Pastor Keith J. Allen. He is back. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. A little nervous, but I'm doing good.
You nervous?
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Okay, that's pretty unusual for those of you who don't know him. Once he gets on the mic, like, it's a whole different thing. So we're going to start this off with what does it mean to be in love, and why do you not have to be in love before you get married? Does one precede the other?
Right. So let's get started. First of all, I believe in love. I believe in the love, first of all, as an institution. And when I use the phrase institution, I'm saying that love has a whole lot of undergirding mechanisms that make it love, that makes it defined or capable of being defined as love. So when I say that I would not marry for love, I meant from the 5 sense perspective, which means how I feel primarily about a person. I would not want to marry somebody for that reason, simply as a principle, simply because from that perspective of feeling, I will more than likely have a misunderstanding of what love is, and then therefore misdefine what it is. Ultimately, I believe that love causes accountability. It subjects you to accountability, because I'm the one that is attempting to express something or to convey something to someone with no strings attached, ultimately, especially when the love is from the perspective of it being the right definition. A lot of times, again, what I find to be true is that because we allow how we feel to be in the forefront of everything, we then don't walk according to the definition of it. So it's a misunderstanding ultimately of what love is.
And so when two people, because it seems like it can be, when you come from the proper definition of love, because when you feel it, when you're both feeling and all, and then the 5 senses are engaged, that can be a mutual thing automatically. That can happen.
Well, then we call that attraction. We can mutually be attracted to each other. But again, if we define being attracted as being in love, then we've misdefined what love really is.
Right.
So, and most often, most of us do, because we don't perceive the responsibility that is associated with having affection for somebody. And we believe that we are freely giving of ourselves because of how we feel at that one moment. Mm-hmm. But then when you get into personal interaction, which means that when life's responsibilities and we have to co-live, mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden what we feel becomes challenging and perceivably unattainable.
Now, you just said a word that's really kind of like taboo nowadays, and is like foreign. It's like a curse word, which is responsibility. 9 times out of 10, most people, when it comes to that word responsibility and attaching it to love, they only account the repercussions of the sexual act of love, which is getting somebody pregnant.
Right. That but let me interject a little bit right here, because you're doing it again, and I almost allowed you to do it, and that is to use it from the perspective of a man and wife relationship rather than just from an ability within a human being to love. And eventually we're going to get into the dynamics of what it is to have a man and woman relationship. But I'm more concerned, again, from the perspective of my ability to love, period. And I'm not comfortable with the ideal that we've gotten to that place in our reasoning where the whole ideal and the whole concept is to love. You know what I'm saying? And so, and keep doing that because it's important, because I think that, and I'm going to keep pulling back the other way, because I think that most of us have to realize our ability to love in order for us not to misdefine in a pure intent. We purely want to love or want to express love, but because we're categorizing it to the degree that, okay, you're my woman and I'm your man and that kind of a thing. But if you listen and if you look and if you get that junk, you'll find out that that's a problem in your life, period. The lack of being able to love and the lack of an ability to receive love, and then ultimately under that umbrella, the whole ideal of recognizing love, because a lot of us don't know how to recognize being loved. Because if somebody is not titillating our emotions, or which in turn means if we're not getting what we want, then the whole identity of love gets obscured, predicated on what is withheld from me more than it is the whole ideal of we're gonna be together, or we're gonna have a friendship or a relationship on something more than affection or attraction.
So, but love, in the definition that you gave in one of the earlier conversations, is like we can conclude that God is love and love is the spirit and all that stuff, but it is something that you have to decide to give.
Exactly.
Right. And once you decide to give that, you have to have the ability to stay with your decision, right? To honor your own decision and stay in that, I guess, spirit of love. And that seems to be the problem.
You have to recognize what it requires to do it. I think that, again, staying with it is, and you have to forgive me, I'm really detailed. So staying with it is one issue. But to love is another issue. I need to know what it is.
There we go. That's where we're going right here. Because with so many divorces and so many people coming together, and I think we'll talk about this, I guess, later. One thing that I guess for the proper trying to find the right word. One thing that can distort the understanding of love is when you become sexually active prematurely, I believe. And so, before we go into the sexual part of it, we got a lot of young people that are coming up that have no idea and no clue about what love really means, because they associate it with the five senses, mostly because that's what they're being programmed to do through media.
And I think that, and sorry for interrupting you, but I think that they're not necessarily being programmed. Just like, I don't want to alleviate the responsibility of a person. I think that it's natural.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? I think that it's a natural thing to want to be sexual and all these other things.
That's true.
What is missing is the whole concept of accountability when it comes to those things. And if you look again at our society, you will find that that's the thing that is really missing, the ability, in everything that we see, you don't see in our society it being promoted accountability. So that in and of itself is like a huge deal right there. So everything you see is rump shaking and and breast, and all this and that, and in our music and all the. So that is not a promoting accountability. What they're doing is promoting stimulation, and again, that's a whole thing. I'm attracted to that, so I'm a say that because I'm attracted to that. That is love to me, right there.
And not to particularly put an age thing on it, because it doesn't matter. We came up with that same. That same assault, as if you will, not assault, but that same scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, I could use that word, assault, because we came up with that same thing. I find myself as of late contending with a lot of things that I thought that I knew, or that I was programmed to move in a mindset that was contrary to the quote unquote family institution that you mentioned earlier. And I think we have to make that connection, and we've lost that connection because now everybody's a free agent. You know what I mean? And then you got all these free agent thinkers trying to come together and do something that they have no clue about, which is form a family, and or have a successful family, I guess. You know what I mean? Because you can get together and create a family and have children, and marry and the whole nine. But to sustain it takes what? Love, right?
The right
interpretation,
definition.
Right. So please help us get the right interpretation.
Well, I was talking, and I'm gonna put it out there. I was talking to somebody. I almost said who it was, but I was talking to somebody, and they were listening to your show, and one of the things they said, well, this wasn't for me because of my age or because of whatever, but they felt like it was relatable to their children and their grandchildren. But I politely disagree from the perspective of, because even if you don't see where it applies to you, this conversation is so universal, diverse, till you can't out-age it. And so I want to go, if I'm not jumping too far ahead, I want to go into what I said in one of the last segments, which is that the psychology of love, you know what I'm saying, more than an emotion, even though love is it includes emotion, but in principle, love is not an emotion, but it does include it. So the psychology of love, because that's whether you're married, that's whether you're single, that's whether you're in friendship, you could be celibate, you could be all these things, but it does not. And this is why I'm saying, before we get into like the real relationship between a man and a woman, we have to really talk about love and emphasize it in identity. We have to really understand the psychology of it, because most people are ignoring it as a psychology, and they are emphasizing it as a stimulated emotion. And because I can stimulate you, you know what I'm saying, and I can sex you, you know what I mean, and I can do all these things with my to you through your eyes and through your ears and you know what I mean, through your flesh. I can do all these things through all those other organs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I'm stuck from a perspective point of view. You know what I'm saying? I'm stuck. There are children who don't recognize the love of their parents. You know what I'm saying? That's how deep this is that we're talking about. There are people that don't recognize the love of a friend, don't recognize the love of a coworker, don't recognize the love of a business partner. We don't recognize love. We don't recognize love. We don't, and I'm going to do it this way just a little bit. We don't recognize it from the psychology or the psychological perspective. There's a pathology to love. When I use the word psychology, I'm talking about the pathology of it, and so we don't recognize it as a system within the context of a relationship period. And when you don't do that, that's why you can jump in and out of relationship or say, I don't love you anymore. And are you doing this saying that I don't feel the way I used to feel? Exactly.
Right. I remember you saying that before. Like, at best, most people understand love from the perspective of not even knowing. I have a great affection for someone. You know what I mean? But love, when you attach certain words to it, take on a different meaning, like responsibility, like what you said earlier. That takes on a whole different meaning, because when you understand responsibility, that's a duty. That's something you have to do. You know what I mean? You have to be, you know what I mean? In order to express the proper kind of love, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
And the scary thing is that most of us really don't know what love is. And so how do we learn it? I know you mentioned something in one of the previous conversations about culture and being raised in a certain environment. How do you get it if you haven't been raised in this certain environment, or you haven't been brought up in the culture that teaches or practices responsible love from? And I know there's a bunch of other words you can attach to that, because it's such a deep thing. You know what I mean? It's like it's accountability, responsibility, and these words that make it into a different type of love. And the Bible even speaks of different types of love.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So when it comes from the Bible perspective, love is patient, love is kind. You know what I mean? Love doesn't exalt itself over someone. That's 1 Corinthians 13. So it's all those things. You know what I'm saying? But even the Bible only talks about it from attribute, because the only way that we can even get an ideal of something that is almost inexplainable is to learn it through attribute. So I'm going to identify what love looks like from its attributes. You know what I'm saying? And so love is patient. That's an attribute. That's something that a person is able to be. The issue now becomes whether or not somebody is willing to be patient.
Man, we can stop right there, because this world is impatient. We got I'm sorry, the whole world is cultured for impatience. We got microwave everything. Everybody wants instant everything. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to take the time to procure, if I'm saying that right, anything. You know what I mean? Everybody wants it instant presto. I've even been in potential relationships that could have went somewhere, except for the fact that either one of the two parties, myself included sometimes, was just impatient and, you know, wanted it to happen when it happened and didn't want to put in the work. So to define it, I guess, is the key.
Right. And so, again, not just to allegate it or put it in one category of a husband and wife, a man and woman,
right,
girlfriend, right, boyfriend. Love is patient. Sometimes being a parent, you know what I mean, means that I'm going to be patient with my child because they need special attention. I think in a couple of talks back, I talked about it, because one day, dude, that woman may have to get you out of bed. You know what I mean? That one day, that man may have to get you out of bed. And so it becomes a struggle within the whole context of the relationship, whether or not I can love you, because it draws on something within me that I'm not sure that I'm able to give at any one given. I'm right now is good. But later on, again, when we cohabitate life, when we navigate through life together, and when things begin to happen to us through life and all of our ideals of what this relationship was supposed to look like, be like, feel like, you know, walk like, talk like, when economics come into play, when health issues come into play. You know what I'm saying? When things about my own self-esteem are challenged, and you have to put up with my lack of esteem in certain areas, and vice versa. When you gain weight, you know what I'm saying, and that attraction is not there anymore. Can I love you when I'm not attracted to you? You know what I'm saying? Am I disciplined enough to love you when I'm not attracted to you?
And if you can't, right? Let's say you can't. That's not love? Is that really love then?
If you, it's
affection.
It's a form of what you called love, predicated on 5 senses: eye, how things person look, what they say, their voice, all these other existential temporary things. And this is why this is important. I'm in the house with somebody that I don't even sleep in the same bed with. We barely talk. We don't discuss anything. There's no intimacy, because when the physical element of our relationship is diminished, where's the intimacy going to come from? Where are we as it relates to having something else that we can build our relationship on?
I think listening to you say that, the biggest problem we're gonna have is if you have been devoid of love, your only focus then is to be loved. Most people, I would say, their main focus is to get love, right, and not to give love.
And well, again, because the misinterpretation, they want you, like somebody on crack, you chasing that first high. I want you to make me feel a certain way. So because if I don't know what love is, I don't know what I'm really after. A feeling, a stimulation. I want a stimulation. And I don't know consciously necessarily that I'm asking or I'm seeking a stimulation. You know what I'm saying? Man, we could talk about this compatibility. We could bring up all kinds of issues relative to the whole ideal of what we feel.
But you said earlier there is an innateness though that we know of love, though, right? Am I mistaken?
The innateness comes from the perspective of what
we know what we want or need, right?
I think that we know what we want to give, and that was powerful in and of itself. I think what I mean. Exactly, we know what we want to give, but when we've come up against the opposition to who we want to give it to, then we begin to have a drawback spirit relative to what we want to give. I think that most people want to give love more than they want to be loved. Whether they're conscious of it or not, they want to give love because that's what's built into us, that sense of worth. That sense of, you know what I mean? Exactly. That sense of purpose. And that's what we all want. We all want this sense of purpose. And so I won't necessarily have that sense of purpose if I'm always receiving. Sooner or later, I have to be put in a position where I give, but we want to be safe when we do it. We don't want to go back through who discouraged us in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of us are fearful of. And a lot of us are entering into relationships fearful. And you cannot, both mindsets cannot occupy the same space. Either I'm going to walk in fear or I'm going to walk in love.
Right.
But I cannot walk in fear and love simultaneously. One will dominate the other one.
Right.
And whether we acknowledge it, recognize it, or see it or not, a lot of times we approach a relationship predicated on fear. And so it's easier for me to say, okay, you love me, than it is for me to be put in a position to love. So I'm only going to love you as much as I perceive myself being loved. I'm only going to give as much as I perceive myself as getting. So,
but that's not love, though, right?
It is a form of affection. Every time you say that, I'm gonna go right back to that.
What I want to get to is the kind of love that is sustained like that's
All
not
right.
going to change, that's not going to go away. Because all of that, it sounds like you can vacillate between one and
But we have to acknowledge that it's there. We have to acknowledge that that's what people do.
Right,
we have
right.
to acknowledge that's where our social, cultural construct is developed from. And so when we birth another human being, when we have children and we attempt to have a family, this is what we're birthing them into. And they learn the psychological positioning of fear rather than they learn to express what it is to have genuine love. Now, let's go to what you just said.
Okay.
You with me, right? Okay, so now here we go. We're getting ready to get into what you just said. Now, check this out. In order to really understand what love is, we have to have an ideal of worth. And I'm making like, we don't even have the time, dude, to get into the whole idea of worth. I'm not talking about necessarily self-worth, even though I'm including self-worth. We just have to have the psychology of worth. We have to
Value.
We have to understand the psychology of worth. When we understand the psychology of worth, then our attempt at love takes on a whole nother thing. Why? Because if I approach the attempt to love from the psychology of worth, then it is something that I am knowing as a purpose. It's my intent to project worth. This is my ideal of what I see you as. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to, from that perspective, approach relationship with you. From that perspective, I'm going to approach a whole lot of other things with you. You know what I'm saying? And so before I even got here, I was thinking about this, and I started talking about, man, the dynamics of worth are crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you 5 things real quick, but we're going to I want to have a conversation with you from and what's crazy.
Let me get my pen.
What's crazy about it is it's going to sound like I'm saying the same thing, but I'm not saying the same thing, because I'm going to use the same word in 5, but it has 5 different meanings, because it provokes 5 different actions. It maneuvers everything that comes under it. First word is worth. Second word is worthy. Third word is worthiness. Fourth word is worthless. The fifth word, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth word is worthlessness. And you have to understand all these states of mind are psychology.
Got you.
It's all psychological, which produce, like adrenaline, it produces an emotional rush or depletes an emotional rush. But the psychology of it is the substantiation of that one word called love. And the first thing you must be able to do is identify worth.
That's saying a lot, though, man.
I just told you
That's
that.
a bombshell. So, wow. Especially when you live in a world where there are forces that are deliberately determined to diminish your idea of worth,
And not necessarily. And I'm glad you are good today, right, Rick? So let me watch this. If we're in a capitalistic society, and so anything that's going to bring a value or money, that's the thing that they're going to promote. That's the thing that the people or the powers to be that's going to emphasize. So if it's worth something to diminish worth, then I'm going to make that a commodity. If it's worth something to promote worth, then I'm going to make that a commodity. Even if I'm going to take advantage because it's advantageous. Your worthlessness is advantageous. So I'm going to deal with you psychologically predicated on your worthlessness. So any way that I could make a buck off of your state of mind predicated on your emotions as your principal thought pattern, I'm going to monetize that. And so because it's natural for a person to feel worthless, and it's work to build a person's worth. You know what I'm saying? It's going to require me to genuinely love you to build worth. You know what I'm saying? And
so it's going to require someone who does not have a sense of worth, right? It's going to require someone else who does have that sense of worth to build up the person who doesn't have the sense of worth.
No, you don't have to build anything.
You just said
you don't have to build anything when it comes to love. What you have to do is, again, from purpose, identify worth and then reveal it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
because
right.
ultimately, that's my objective, is to reveal your worth, not to build something
it's already there.
Exactly.
Got you. You just don't know
exactly
that is there. The person who is feeling worthless just does not recognize or understand their worth.
Exactly.
Okay, so it has to be pointed out.
Exactly.
And okay, got
so
you.
now, in order for me to take
so before you go further, that is to say then that every human being is worthy of love.
Worth
has worth.
Worth.
Okay, so that's what I'm going. That's what I'm going back to. What makes a person believe that they are not, that they don't have worth? The worth that they do actually have.
Right. And the question in and
that's
of
what
itself,
that's where I'm getting where you saying is psychology.
Right.
That's just making a lot more sense to me now.
Right. So the question in and of itself is really, you're asking me for the ingredients to gumbo. because it is a cohesive institution of systems.
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? That are in agreement with each other, predicated on their own psychological lack or psychological development. Again, so hurt people, in other words. And so if I'm hurt, then my objective, my psychology is that to hurt. And to pain, to stimulate my mindset. I'm going to want to simulate and stimulate my mindset. So I want everything to reflect the way I feel at any one given moment. That's why I'm saying, that's why I'm not even including self-worth first. I am saying before self-worth is possible, worth has to be identifiable.
Period. Wow, got you.
You know what I mean? Oh my God, that
you just
we
could pause on that one right there.
That made me pause because you know what I mean. And a lot of times, man, I'm gonna tell you, even though I'm saying what I'm saying, I realize the struggle. You know what I mean? Just finding worth is a struggle because there's so many things in the environment that obscures the whole ideal of worth.
So many.
And it's not that it's not worth, it's not there, but God, it's hard to find. It's hard to find. And the temptation is to get into a place where I become selfish, where all I look for is what advantage I can have.
Right.
And so I'm constantly trying to resist that mentality of my own personal advantage because I understand that my objective and my calling and my purpose is wrapped up in my ability to express love. You know what I'm saying? And that is going to people, places, and things under circumstances that other people do not see worth.
So where does worth come from?
was God is love.
Uh-oh.
So you get what I'm saying? So I can't not say that and cannot start from cause. God is cause. He's first cause of love. He's first cause of everything. So without being religious but talking from principle, that means that I must have an understanding of God from the perspective of him as love.
What about those who are not religious? I don't want to cut you off.
Again, it doesn't matter about being religious, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying the way that I'm saying it. I'll take religion out of it and use the principle.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that
I think that need to be said.
Right. I'm with you.
Again.
Right. Take religion out of it. Religion, again, is just simply a ritualistic practice of something predicated on something you believe. Everybody who's not a church goer is religious. You get what I mean? Every morning you get up and you have a routine. And all being religious is following a pattern or a routine on a daily basis. You get what I'm saying? So everybody is religious in one way, shape, form, or fashion.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But what we're talking about is the principle. We want to talk about the principle, and that is ultimately, God is the cause of love. God is love, and everything outside of that, you know what I mean, stems from him being love. So when you say that, where do love come from? God is patient. God is kind. God does not push himself before he pushed the principle. He teaches us how to be governed by rules, regulations, procedures, policies predicated on the idea of pushing first, making first things first. So from that point of view, so man, I don't want to start getting into
but we got to go there because principally speaking, and this is where people need to get it, because we're all the same when it comes to this issue of love, as we all need love, right? All of us need to be loved. And again, I said, I
don't want to say I agree 100%. But for all intents and purposes, all of us need to love.
We need to love.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay, more than we need to.
No, not even more. Equal to.
Okay.
We all need to love.
There you go. Because you can't get it unless somebody giving it.
And even with that, not just you can't get it, you can't express it. And that, to me, again, is my purpose.
Now we got to stay here, right here.
You know what I mean? That's my purpose, period. And I can't afford to forget that. Because anything outside of that as first, as far as an agenda within my own reason for being, is selfish. I'm here to love.
Wow.
Period.
But we don't but people don't understand that.
Well, people don't accept that. I think that whether or not somebody ever sits you down,
just tell somebody and say, you're here to love.
Yeah.
And they have no concept of what love is.
And that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true. They reject it predicated on fear. Again, there's an exchange. This is what I'm trying to say. You have to understand, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to make it even heavier for you, because ultimately love is an act of faith. And most people don't want to act predicated on the unsubstantiated, the unproven. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to believe first.
Right.
We want it proven first.
Right.
That's why in our culture you hear the phrase scientific. It hasn't been scientifically proven.
Right.
Or I'm going to believe the science, or I'm going to believe the facts.
When
the
I see
facts,
it.
exactly.
Right.
And
then I'll believe it.
Right. So it cancels faith. It cancels faith. It puts me in a position of whether or not you deserve to be loved. Whether or not you deserve this relationship. One of the hardest things it is to do is to trust that somebody loves you.
So this is a crazy question. Does everybody deserve love?
Then you get into worthlessness. You know what I'm saying? I think that everybody,
If we were made to love,
mm-hmm,
then everybody deserves love.
everybody deserves love. And to say that it's not a judgment.
So right, but somebody in their mind, if somebody in their mind decides that no, you don't deserve the love that I know I want to give you, because that goes back to what you were saying before, because we make up our minds, we sit around and decide, well, do you deserve what I want to give you? And but based on that decision, we either express it or don't express it.
Yeah, we decide, we withhold.
We
I
withhold.
like that.
I like that.
Yeah, we withhold. And you have to understand, anytime that you withhold, and this is the key right here, then all the things that needed to be stimulated under the surface of the word itself get stale. It stagnates. So that means that if I can't love you, and again, this is working simultaneously with relationship.
Mm-hmm. And this ain't about husband and wife, and boyfriend and girlfriend.
Exactly.
And this is just period, relationship period.
Yeah, and man, you gotta fight your own selfish urge
Woo.
to cause somebody to deserve it. Because remember the five statements in the one word: worthiness, worthlessness, worthless, and worthlessness.
Mm-hmm.
Worthiness, I'm sorry. You get what I'm saying? And you got to stay away from that frame of mind.
How do you do it?
You work at it. Because what I'm telling you, I ain't telling you this because it's easy.
Right.
And I'm not telling you this because I've perfected it.
Right.
I'm just telling you that it's true.
Right.
Period. I'm just telling you that it's true. And I'm telling you this because
it's necessary.
It's exactly, if you're going to achieve it. So now, from just that by itself, we can have a conversation about a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, fiance, just from that by itself. And that's why I was going back to this. That's why I'm going back to this.
We got about 3 minutes to go.
We do?
Well, we can go as long as you cool, but
Yeah. Well, I don't even feel like we got to the point.
We didn't, man.
You know what I mean? I feel like this foundation.
Let's make it happen. Let's talk about it. Because you're on a vein right now where I think,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So,
need to
man,
be interrupted.
I just think that that's why I wouldn't marry, because of how I feel about you. You know what I mean? Because I'm attracted to you, no question. I like this, and we having a good, big fun. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
And
but
great
man,
affection for you and the whole nine.
And we like certain things. We agree and stuff. But man, I'm wondering, do I have what it take? And what scares me probably about the relationship, if I was going to even admit having a phobia or a fear about it, it's not even personal against you. It's just my phobia, period. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I'm able, because it's going to draw from me things that I don't know if I'm prepared to give you. It might demand it in this relationship, but can I give you this? You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of it might not have nothing to do with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
It has a lot to do with whether or not I can look.
I'm capable of. You're capable of it, according to you say, because we all are capable of it. But whether or not I want to withhold it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
or release it.
How reflect for real. Me and you sitting here, right?
Oh man,
what you say is what you say. No, but reflect in your life. How many people have you ever given the kind of love to that I'm talking about right here?
Honestly, maybe one. Out of naivety when I was young, and I thought I knew what love was.
And you proving my point.
I gave it everything I had because I felt, I didn't know. Whatever I knew, I gave. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When I was young, when I was a youngster, maybe like once. To be perfectly honest, I didn't even do it in my marriage, shamefully. You know what I mean? Because I went into my, well, I want to get personal, but I went into my marriage with reservation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think as you get older, after you've experienced harm or hurt a few times, we resort to that reservation, like withholding, like you said. That's when we start withholding.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna do that again. I'm not gonna put that all out there just to have it taken advantage of. Or,
so let me ask you this then, right? So what then? What's the use?
That's my question. I asked you that in the very first episode. What's the
saying,
point?
Right. So what's the use though? I'm about talking to you. Me and you talking. We ain't talking for the audience right now.
I know how you get. You're not finna. No, I'm not finna let you do that to me.
But I'm just saying, like, cause in my head, it's sad. Like if I'm not going to do this,
are you talking about my situation?
No, period.
Woo, all right, because I'm about to
interview over.
Right? Hold up, let me stop the tape.
But I'm saying though, like in my head, I'm thinking like, what's like if I'm not gonna go at this from that perspective, then the truth is I don't see the use. Is it just for sex?
Right.
You know what I mean? What is it for?
Yeah.
If I'm not in this to give you my everything, my all, in a way that only I can do it to fulfill myself.
And when you say that, what comes in mind is it's so much more than just you. Because you think, what is our purpose? And if love is our purpose, we were put here to love, right? The product of love then is creation, right? I mean, we create another human being. We talking about the relationship part of it because that's how we exist anyways, right?
No, yeah. But the product of love is not creation. The product of love is relationship. You have to understand the result of sex is creation.
Okay, right.
You know what I mean? And so the distinction must be made.
But sex, see,
function. All I'm doing is talking to you from the perspective of function. Because when I love, it is not to procreate.
Got you. That's not the purpose.
Exactly.
Okay, got
when
you.
I love, to be absolutely honest with you, to love is the most selfish thing you could ever do.
To love?
Yeah.
Huh?
Because it's
man, come on, man. Now you're confusing me.
No, to love is the most selfish thing you'll ever do because it is personal fulfillment. You know what I mean? It's personal fulfillment.
But people don't see it that way.
Of course they don't, because they too busy operating in fear relative to love.
Okay,
they don't
so we
want.
They
trying to avoid hurt.
Okay, so I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. So we got to talk about fear then. That seems to be the main reason why people withhold. Correct?
Yeah, yes.
You sound hesitant.
Well, because it's more to it than that. It's that.
As if that isn't enough.
Yeah, right. But it's more to it than that because, again, if I can gain from it, and this is what I find that in our world today, dude, is that everybody wants to gain. Everybody wants
gain what?
Gain advantage.
Okay.
Gain money, gain fame, gain, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So most people want to gain, and most people look at relationship predicated on what they gain, and they don't understand that most relationships are designed for you to lose. You know what I'm saying? And so, because when you lose, you really gain. But you have to be in the right psychological.
That's psychology.
Exactly.
Right.
When you really lose, you really gain. Because when you lose, when you give of yourself, you've gained.
That sounds like trigonometry or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, because people it's so practical that it's like that people will hear that and be like, man, what? When you lose, you really gain. Yeah. It's better to give than to receive. I remember when I used to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it now. I remember when I used to hear that. And I used to be like, wow, it's better to give than to receive. Are you kidding me? I'd rather receive. But then as I got older, now that I'm thinking about this, it's come back to me, God. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I'm like, wow, if you're in a position of giving, you are the one who has.
Exactly. So now attach worth to that. The ability to recognize worth is the ability to recognize wealth. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so when you recognize or identify worth, you've just tapped into wealth. And so from the perspective of wealth, you're not hesitant in giving, because if I am wealthy, then I will not run out. I
have plenty.
Exactly.
I can't exhaust my resource.
Exactly.
Wow, wealthy.
Exactly.
Dude, you just killing us. You killing us with this, man. Like, who would attach wealth with worth?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you look at you take a whole pile of gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it worth?
Mm-hmm.
It's wealth. If
Yeah.
you have wow, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems so simple. I almost feel stupid right now.
No. It's because this is, again,
Psychology.
Exactly. But whose advantage is it for you to be ignorant?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So it's not about feeling stupid. It's stupidity is knowing this and then not choosing it.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? That's stupid. It's to be in the presence of it, to be aware of it, to have the understanding, and then not choose it because you choosing to have the perspective of lack. You know what I'm saying? And so again, I want to say this. I want to emphasize this. Worth is it, and when you understand worth, you might as well do.
I got it.
You know, so when you understand worth, and again, I hope that we're saying something that people can find useful, because worth is the key for me today.
There you go.
Worth is the key right here. My God, if I'm going to love, then I have to find wealth. Oh, we got me saying wealth. I'm going to have to find worth.
But maybe we should. Maybe we should connect.
We are, but I want to emphasize the worth, because again, a lot of times the wealth is defined, predicated on what something can be beneficial to you, but the worth is, you cannot redefine worth. You cannot change it by definition. Worth. What you can do is then say that you can attach worth to something because of what it provides for you, what it gives you. You know what I'm saying? But worth itself it's like saying truth. You know what I mean? So when I use the word worth here, I'm talking about truth. And the truth is, I'm designed to love. And I'm designed to love because I have the ability. Yeah. So I'm the love by design. You get what I'm saying?
Because you have the ability to.
I have the ability to do it. But whether I think it's worth it is something else.
See now we're going back to the powers that want to diminish your understanding of worth, because you just said a word in here that was very powerful. You said by design. Now, if you have a culture and a world that's teaching you that you just came to being by happenstance, then you can't attach any worth to that. Like the evolution theory, like a lot of people grew up believing that, and because they've been taught that in schools, in our culture, we've been taught that we evolved out of monkeys. You know what I mean? Nobody can attach no serious worth. You look at a monkey, you be like, okay, that's where I came from. You know what I'm saying? These are the pitfalls or the things that fight against your psychology of worth. Mm-hmm. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, you're making a lot of sense. But let's ring it.
I didn't mean to go on.
No, let's ring it. Let's bring it around to the whole ideal of love predicated on the relationship. Because for me, I want to highlight the fact that The whole idea of love is relationship. You know what I mean? I want to highlight that. And we have a problem with relationships.
Relationship,
Woo.
and the definition has been watered down. You know what I mean? You got friends with benefits and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is the reality. So when we talk about relationships, we don't hold a certain value to it, in a sense, because you could have a bad relationship with somebody. You could have a work relationship. You can have all types of relationships. You know, when you talk about love, in any one of those categories, love can exist in, right?
Love has, as far as I'm concerned,
You can give love.
You know, somebody might, because the relationship that we're talking about is more intimate than a job, or those
Right.
that's camaraderie.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, those again, that's camaraderie. We have a mutual purpose, we have a mutual goal, a mutual objective.
Let's say even a relationship between a man and a man, friends, friends.
So, but you
Of
can,
course, I'm not.
but you
Question,
could,
that's not a question.
right? But you could pour into the relationship something that you can't pour into an inanimate object.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could work. We could work together to build a house, and we can do it with love.
So relationships need to be deposited in.
Yes,
too.
yes. You include when
okay.
it comes to love.
Right.
That's the point that I want to emphasize, is that a lot of times people don't include you. Even if you working together, even if you doing things together, it's not like we're included and we are walking in mutual understanding or mutual thought pattern. The Bible said the two became one. You know what I mean? And that's the key. The two became one. And so from the perspective of becoming one, exactly, we're psychologically linked,
Okay.
you know what I mean, together, which will link all the other elements
Everything
of
else.
exactly.
Right. Okay.
But
So we have one mind.
exactly.
We both think.
Exactly.
Well, not think, but we have one.
We both are in our objective.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're single in objective. And that is that we are bound together, and we're going to do everything in our power to operate from the perspective of being bound together. So, worth, I'm going back to this again.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's important to identify worth. And then from that, you extract wealth. Now, what is wealth predicated on worth? Wealth predicated on worth is self-worth. That means that I can extract a self-worth from that. So you have to understand. Now, let's go back to a couple of talks we had before. Now, identity comes out of that. Now, from identity, that's what I'm sharing. I'm sharing not just from the perspective of who and what you are. I'm sharing who and what I think of myself. You get what I'm saying? And that's the thing right there. Most people guard that. Most people suppress their own self-worth. And man, believe it or not, we don't even have the time, because this is what's going to be demanded of you in a relationship, your own sense of self-worth. That's the demand. It's really not the house, it's not the car, it's not all those other things.
Right.
The thing that's really demanded of you is an expression of your own self-worth.
Wow.
But I wonder.
You're really giving of yourself, though. Right?
That's the point. That's why I want to stop here. I want to emphasize this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get this point across, then you miss the whole thing, period. So love is the most selfish thing you'll ever be able to give. You'll never be able to give anything more selfish or be more selfish than to love somebody. You'll never be able to be more selfish.
So it's good to be selfish then.
From the perspective of that. Because you're extracting worth.
Because you know people are going to take this.
You're expressing worth because there's a wealth of worth. And then from the wealth of worth, you're extracting self-worth because you're attached to something, someone, a culture, an identity, a social construct. You're attached to all these things that are connected to your own worth. You know what I'm saying? Which you have extracted identity from. And from the perspective of extracting an identity or a sense of self from, you're now walking and operating from an ability to express your own self-worth, which you in turn then pass to someone else who needs to understand and discover worth. And then from there, they can extract, because there's a whole reservoir. And what happens is a trial, a tribulation, a hardship, a difficulty, a circumstance, a biological situation, a psychological, that's the point. Under an umbrella of a crisis, I now know and discover and understand through faith that it's not just this one situation that you're going to be there with me through, but I have confidence that you're going to be with me through every situation that ever comes up in life, past, present, and future. I can rely on you, which is now my reliance on you is my investment back into worth. You know what I'm saying? My ability to rely on you, I'm willing to rely on you, that's my investment back. That's me giving back to something that has been there for me.
My ability to rely on is giving back.
Exactly. Because I'm expressing trust. I'm expressing confidence in. And that's what makes love mobile. It makes love action. It causes love to become action. So it's not just one-sided. It's the fact that now I can convey to you a confidence in.
Right.
I'm undergirding your self-worth. I'm affirming your self-worth. Oh my God, dude! Wow. You gotta hear this. Because if you notice, when somebody start breaking up, now we're getting into relationships. When somebody start breaking up and it start not working, that's the first thing that is extracted. The first thing I'm taking back is my ability to have confidence in you. I don't trust you no more.
Wow, right.
You know what I mean? I don't love you no more. I don't believe you no more. I don't have faith in you, in other words, anymore.
So you're taking your investment, or you're ceasing your investment in that person. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm withholding that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
I'm no longer investing in
exactly. And we could still be in the same house, sleep in the same bed,
been there,
have children. We can have all these things together, but when that person is don't express investment. You're like, what's wrong? Nothing. What's going on? Nothing. You all right? Yeah. That means that I'm no longer investing.
But this is why people just know instinctively, like in their gut, like something wrong. Yeah. Like you're not the same person. You're not the same giving. You're not giving the same that you were before.
Yeah. And why? And what makes it even worse is that you conceal the why.
And the fact that people can just change their minds like that, and we can cause that. Right, of course. But that's another subject. That's a whole nother subject. I mean, we could cause that, but again, worth. And then all of a sudden now, as men, we don't feel like the man no more. You know what I mean? Because that's one thing that a woman has an ability to do. She can tear you down or build you up with her words, with her attention. She can nurture your ideas. With her investing in you.
Exactly.
And her, how do you put it earlier? Like, when you responded to that person, you're giving back. You're giving back to them. Right?
Yeah, you're giving back. I don't remember the exact words from before, but that I find that in my relationships, whether it's with my wife or whether it's with a friend or whoever, that's ultimately what I look for. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't even conscious of looking for a reaction. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even conscious of looking, but when I'm conscious of it, what makes me conscious of it is when I don't get a reaction. You know what I mean? It's
like, wait a minute, hold up.
Exactly.
You're not giving me
no feedback,
no nothing. Yeah. That's a daily thing. That's a moment by moment thing, right? Like you could tell instantly when you're not getting back what you're used to getting back, especially over a period of time. If you've spent a period of time with a person.
And so, man, how much, and this is what's dangerous to me, because how much of our self-esteem is
man.
predicated on that relationship.
But self-esteem and worth are what's the
They synonymous with each other.
Okay, they're not the same
They're
thing.
not the same thing, but they're synonymous, and it's difficult to tell them apart sometimes because it depends on my motive. If I'm doing this, you get what I'm saying, for you to make me feel good. If I'm looking to you for a sense of self-worth, you get what I'm saying, rather than having already found a source outside of you, which brought me into the decision to be in relationship with you, which is communication. You know what I'm saying? So that is dangerous right there.
Right.
Because, man, I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you this right here, right? I want to say this real quick. It's dangerous for you to want to feel like you're a good lover. And I do mean sexually. And then that woman don't respond to you. And, you know, and I'm talking about the psyche of a man, a male. You know what I mean? Your actions.
And that's vice versa, right? For a woman?
But it's different from the point of view of her psyche as a female. You know what I mean? Our psyche as a man, when that woman said, "Oh, you so good." When that woman called you Hercules.
A big daddy.
Yeah.
You daddy now.
See, because men are performance. We're performance oriented.
Right.
Our whole psyche,
now you're getting into the gender role.
Yeah, because it's important.
Yeah.
Our whole psyche is performance oriented.
Right.
And again, when that woman withhold that.
Yeah. And they, man. Okay. They can be manipulative, which brings, since we're in that vein now, that brings up a question, something you said before in one of the other episodes. You said a lot of people, this is where the question comes in now. I was waiting for the moment. A lot of people used affection as a strength or power to manipulate. And this is what women can, they have a certain power. I like that word. I used to put that, you said strength, but I put the word power in there. I've really witnessed that on a really deep level, particularly when I stopped, when I became abstinent, you know what I mean? And then re-entered into the quote unquote dating scene, because I don't date in the traditional sense. I think I said this before, because in this culture, normally mentally, dating includes maybe subconsciously sex at some point. You know what I mean? And people usually have sex nowadays before they say I do or get married, because, you know, especially if you've ever been experienced. So I don't date in the traditional sense, but what I've experienced is that when a woman is used to getting a certain reaction out of men, even if they don't want the relationship, they'll say what is necessary or do what is necessary and involve themselves or give the illusion of relationship to get what they want. Is that manipulation?
Of course it's manipulation,
okay,
but
and according to you, not all manipulation is bad manipulation.
Right. It just depends on how you use it.
Right.
It's done all the time, but
usually women don't have to pull out a whole lot of arsenals. Just the mere fact that a man wants to get with them if they think they look nice and they want to have sex with them, they don't really have to use too much effort to get that attention that they want from a man.
Right. Watch this.
Boom. I just went somewhere else.
Right. No. Watch this. And you actually hit it right on the nail. And I don't know if you realize it or not, because men psychologically are performance oriented.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Women psychologically are attention oriented. And so that's why you see
you say that because we need to understand that even those of us at this age, like we don't really comprehend. We don't comprehend that. So can you say that again, please?
Right. So men psychologically, males psychologically are performance oriented. That's why we're, go and lift weights or do whatever, go build a car, a house, or go out and shoot the deer, the lion, and everything else. But a woman is attention oriented. And so that's why when you talk to, even using the phrase dating, That's why it's dangerous to date,
Yes.
because you're giving that woman something that a penis in her vagina don't necessarily mean the same thing. She can use it and interpret it as attention, but a man would say it's performance. I'm performance oriented, but a woman will let you apply your penis to her vagina simply because it means that she's getting attention.
She's getting attention.
You get what I'm saying? And so that's why you see women in our culture with their breasts out or dancing and shaking their butt and all this other kind of stuff, because it's about attention. And a woman would do everything, jump from a chandelier, exactly,
to get attention.
And that's all that's about.
And she wants that soul attention.
Exactly.
Right? She wants your focus to be specifically on her.
Exactly.
Period.
And so if men go into a relationship with a woman not understanding that that's the most powerful ingredient in the relationship, that's his most powerful tool in his arsenal.
But a lot of women won't admit that.
Well, it's not a question. I don't care what they admit.
Okay.
I'm telling you in principle again, and that's where I'm coming from. Everything I'm telling you, I'm talking from a principle. Right. I'm not talking about all the nuances around the principle. Gotcha. I'm telling you that in principle. That's why, whether if I was single, whatever the case may be, I was in your position, I would be careful. I would be super duper careful because you making me mess with Sunday a little bit, but I'm going to say this anyway, because you can capture a woman's being simply by giving her attention. And you can, and it's not about the abstinence. It's not about the celibacy as much as it is about you're giving me attention. And I've included you in my mind as being part of me, and me being part of you, simply because of how much time in our conversation. And I'm gonna be honest with you. You can. I've heard stories of men, and this happened to me as a man of God, that you can just have a conversation about God with a woman, and she will attract. Psychologists have to be careful. You know what I mean? Doctors have to be careful, because attention is an aphrodisiac. It is literally a drug in the psyche of a woman. And most times the relationship falls apart and marriages fall apart because of the lack of attention. Now, again, it can take any shape, way, shape, form, or fashion, but the lack of attention is most of the time the culprit between a broken and fallen relationship.
And just to be clear, you're not saying that men don't need attention as well. You're just saying that women are more oriented.
I'm talking about the style of attention.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Again, if you think about it, you're a male, you're a man. Most of the times, when you think in terms of a woman besides by her anatomy, you're thinking about performance. Yeah. Everything about your relationship with that female is about performance, and she's not getting it. And that's what turns you off about her, because of the way she does, or the way she don't do, or what she stopped doing, or what she won't do. It's always about performance when it comes, mostly, not always, but in principle, it's about performance. And I don't think we're conscious of it. Right. You know what I mean? We're just not going around conscious of it. It's the way she walked. It's the way she talked. It's the way she moves. Right. It's her little giggle. It's the way. But with a woman, it's just him looking.
The attention.
I want you. Why? I want you what? I want you to give me attention. Period. You could tell somebody, look, I'm abstinent. Oh, okay.
Well, what that does, though, I guess a certain level, because women are looking for a certain type of man, right? And so if they
a certain type of attention, like, a woman, we should be having lines open so that they can talk for themselves in one respect.
Well, we're going to do that on the next one.
Yeah,
after they listen to this, what we'll do is when I get enough feedback from this, I'll put it out there to open an open forum for women to call in on this.
And I want to give advice, if I may, real quick.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do it either through Clubhouse or
right. But
or
I want to
Zoom.
give them advice right now.
Oh, okay.
Because
this is for women.
Yeah. If you are in a relationship, I guarantee you, if there's any flaw in it from your perspective, it's the fact that it's your words. You can cut a male or a man down. You can make him struggle because of your words. It's your approach. Even if he's not what you think he should be or doing what you think he should do, the fact that your words, man, it's terrible. And then you're talking about culturally speaking, from being black, from being Spanish, whatever the case may be. Everything for that male depends on how you treat them with their words, and that's why he might be paying the bills and coming home, but that chick on his job or that chick down the street or the neighbor, and she starts saying, "How you doing today? Oh yeah, I like it." She started noticing things about him and start praising him in certain ways and complimenting him. And why you looking at her? He looking at her because she
is affirming.
I love that word. Exactly.
I can relate to that because I've had a lot of encounters where I was told that I was stubborn or I didn't want to hear what you just don't want to hear what I have to say, and this and that. You want to ignore me. And I would try to explain to them, no, it's not that I don't want to hear or that I can't even be corrected. So it's not really what you say, it's how you say it to me. You got to season your words with me. It's about respect. The bottom line is like, if I feel disrespected, nothing you're going to say to me is going to resonate with me because I simply cannot hear it because of the way that you're saying what you're saying. You're talking to me in any manner of disrespect. I just can't hear it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to fall on deaf ears. It's going to hit the ground like a brick. But I've had women correct me and really put me in check. But it's the way that they talk to me. It's the way that they said what they said. I had no choice but to receive it and respect it because it was given to me in a manner that wasn't disrespectful, or should I say it another way, that was given as I perceived it in love.
Right. So we got like
we got about a minute left.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yes.
I was all engulfed in the conversation.
Right.
We can cut it off, but so much more, man.
We come back.
This is what I want to do. We'll come back because my mind has changed just in this conversation. I've been enlightened, and and I'm praying and I'm hoping that everybody who listens to this conversation will get even what I've gotten and even more out of it. Man, let me tell you, I could see, I really like to see you writing a book on this subject alone, that word thing, because that's powerful. Because so many people, the thing you said about we were designed to love, because in my mind I had it like, well, we were designed to receive love, but we were designed to love. That's coming from a position of source. You know what I'm saying? That's powerful, man. I mean, like, I never thought of it like that before.
How come?
I don't know. I probably have, but it's a fight to retain that when you're actually engaged in relationships. Because there are things that are coming, outside forces that want to diminish or destroy or to push away from that
opposition
word, that mentality.
Opposition causes love to be relevant.
But to hold that mindset though?
I think that's what has to be awakened.
Okay.
Because there has to be a want to. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, to be truthful, we decide not to want to.
But don't we have to fight to hold that
You have to defend it.
Defend. Okay, that's my point. That's my point. Okay,
right.
you made my point.
But I'm just saying it for the wording.
Right.
You have to defend it. You have to be ready to defend it. That's what I mean when I say you have to want to.
Right.
If you stop wanting to, then it becomes overtaken, overwhelmed with other reasoning.
I love the way you broke it down because it makes you, because what you said earlier gives you a reason to want to. You know what I mean?
What gives you the reason?
Well, now that when you grasp the perspective that you were designed to love.
Okay. That's
coming from perspective of wealth. Like, I got it.
Yeah.
I don't have to get it. I got it.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming from, I'm here to give it.
Yeah.
That makes you want to. That makes me want to. Because that gives me a new esteem.
It supersedes 5 senses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It goes beyond the 5 senses. Yeah. So now I'm empowered to the degree that no matter what offense comes, it don't reside in my 5 senses. I now can mechanically overcome my 5 senses so that love can be genuine and pure. It can be real and not just some fictitious ideal predicated on emotion.
It can be who it really is, and that's God.
That. Yeah.
So that all makes sense when you put it together like that. I am love. You know what I mean? I was designed to love. When you come from that perspective, rather than the perspective that I evolved out of monkey or I was just popped into the world for, you know what I mean? I choose to take that mindset and that perspective, you know what I mean? Because it gives me that self-worth, that sense of worth. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you know what's crazy? And I know we were supposed to be whatever, but you know what's crazy though? Because just to be honest with you, the conversation, I start seeing how it's not gender specific.
Right.
It's not transgender, non-binary. All those are issues coming from people who don't have a sense of being loved. You know what I mean? So now we're going to make my gender.
Now we're going to categorize
exactly. And so, if I don't accept what your ideal of yourself is from your biology, then you don't love me. That ain't God. Right. And so it erases all of that.
And that's so superficial.
That's the point.
It don't got nothing to do with none of that gender stuff and none of that.
And I can disagree with you.
Wow.
I cannot like what you did. I cannot like what you said. And I can actually not like who you decided to be.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that I don't love you. And don't call what my disagreement with you a hate crime.
Right.
Because I don't accept what you decide.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, if you don't focus on this, then you don't love me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? No, that's not true.
If I don't accept,
you put the stipulations.
Exactly.
You know what
Rick,
I mean? You can't tell me I can't love you. I don't love you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because you put the barriers up. I didn't put the barriers up.
Yeah.
Wow.
You get it?
And in any relationship, you do that.
That's why it was important for us to start with love rather than relationship.
Right.
Because if you don't know love, if you don't identify love, then nothing you do or attempt to do is going to be sustainable.
And that's why you have to separate it from the 5 senses.
Exactly.
Boom. We can go on and on and on with this, but let me stop it right here.
And Alan, one more thing, but yeah, because now if you want to, it's up to you. But now you can move into relationships and
okay, yeah.
Because we quantifying relationships now. You know what I mean? On all levels, in every way, shape, form, or fashion. When this is established, you know what I mean? And even if, let's say, on a personal level, you was talking to somebody, that in and of itself can be a whole conversation. Look. I want to, what's your idea of love? How do you see love?
Right.
And then from that perspective, you can make a clear decision on whether or not you want to invest,
or whether you have or whether you want to, or you're willing to.
Yeah.
Go into that.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Yes. All right, so thank you for listening to the Good Man Show. Oh, man, this is deep. with our guest, Pastor Keith J. Allen. You want to give the people, let them know where you.
Yes, right now we have a service at 290 Mount Hope Avenue, City of Rochester, New York, 10:30 Sunday morning service. If you want to come out and just be part of our environment, outside of that, you can. I'm not into the website and all that stuff yet, but you can contact me through my email k.4663@yahoo.com. You can send me a personal note through that, and according to our host here, I'll be glad to respond on air or over the email.
Yes, so, make sure you email him with questions, man, because I'm telling you, man, he's got a wealth of knowledge and understanding and wisdom regarding these things. And I'm going to make sure I put that information in the description on this YouTube video. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell button so that we can bring you more content like this. If you really like this, let us know. And if you're watching for the first time, or thank you for listening, we will have some visual content coming up ASAP as soon as possible. This has been the Good Man Show. Thank you, and you have a good day. We'll get at you. Peace.